So it's Noah's spring break and we're catching a flight in a few hours to go to Memphis, Tennessee to visit my sister, brother-in-law, and my niece and nephew. But I need to do a few things to prepare the garden for my absence. We're gonna be gone almost a week, and there's some things I need to do, so I'm gonna take you along with me. Now, if we were only going to be gone maybe a long weekend, I wouldn't worry so much. But being gone almost a week, the garden is going to need to be watered. That's a major thing here. If you live in an area that has maybe, rain throughout the spring and summer, it might not be such a big deal to you. But for us, at the end of March, our rain is pretty much done all the way to November, meaning 0 rain. So I can look at the forecast this coming week and I know there's not going to be any rain. We do have a couple of overcast days which will help, but watering is going to be absolutely essential. So the first thing to do is probably pretty obvious. Water everything really deeply before leaving. Not just a spritz, but really soak the ground under the plants. This will push the water deep into the soil and the roots will follow. And remember, the deeper the roots, the longer it takes for them to dry out. Now, containers are difficult to keep moist even when you're home. Sometimes during certain weather, they need to be watered daily. So being gone 7 days, those plants are going to be dead. So one thing you can do is move your containers into the shade. It's not gonna hurt even sun-loving plants to be in the shade for a few days to a week. Another thing you can do with containers is use water-absorbing polymers. Now, even if you have a few containers, that can get really expensive. It's one of my absolute favorite garden hacks that involves water and this little baby. Yep, it's a diaper. This diaper contains polymers that hold 30 times their weight in liquid. Just soak it in a container of water for a couple minutes. Once it's full, rip open the end and pull down. All the polymers will come out and you can mix them with the potting soil to make a water retentive space that will keep your containers moist so much longer. So I've done a lot of research and nothing I've seen shows any toxicity with these polymers. I don't use them in my veggie beds, but you probably could. That brings us to the veggie beds. Now this year I bit the bullet and finally installed drip irrigation. I gotta say I was intimidated for a long time to take that leap, but I'm so glad I did. It was so easy to install. I think it took me 2 hours to install the drip over the entire vegetable garden, the raised beds, the containers, and the ground. So this is gonna really be a game changer when it comes to taking off on vacations. But the timing is not the best. I've got quite a few of these module containers and Jiffy pellets within different stages of germination. So I really had to try and figure out how to keep these watered. Putting them in a tray of water the entire time is gonna soak them too much. So this is what I came up with. I'm just gonna cut up these little 6-pack containers and bury each module under a dripper. That way they will stay watered regularly, but will be allowed to dry out during the day. So they aren't sitting in a container of water, which would most likely rot the seeds or overwater the seedlings. So the drip system is set to come on 20 minutes during the night in the middle of the night every day. Now, if you don't have a drip system, but you have some thirsty plants, maybe like tomatoes or anything that really is gonna need water consistently while you're gone, you can make your own standalone drip system. Find a large container for water and poke a small hole or two in the bottom, depending on how much water you see coming out. Nestle the jug into the soil and it will slowly drip out and keep the soil moist. And one tip that I didn't do here is to actually have the soil moist before you do this. That'll make it last longer. Another tip is to mulch heavily. Mulch is good anyway for water conservation and for keeping the weeds down. My favorite thing to use for mulch is half-done compost from my compost bins. But you can use anything from wood chips and shavings to straw to grass clippings and leaves. Whatever you use though, try to add them in as thick a layer as possible. 2 inches will be great all around the root zone. The last tip is, if none of the above are possible for you, then find somebody that you trust that will look after your garden while you're gone and care for it. So that's it. I gotta go catch my flight, but stay tuned because while we're gone to Memphis, I'm gonna be putting up a video hopefully later in the week with some Memphis garden related content. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you know when that comes. See you guys on the next video.